A woman walks into a bar. She's very inebriated, so she stumbles to the bartender. "I will have a whiskey sour," she slurs. "I can't serve you, ma'am. You've had too much," the barkeep informs her. Looking disgruntled, she walks out the front door. A few minutes later, she walks in through the side entrance. "Barkeep, give me gin and ginger," she hiccups. "As I told you before, I can't serve you. Would you like me to get you a cab?" the bartender says patiently. Looking quizzically at the bartender, she shakes her head and stumbles out. A few minutes later, she walks in the front door again. "Give me blue motorcycle," she demands. "Look, ma'am," the bartender says sternly, having lost his patience, "if you do not let me call you a cab, I'm going to have to call the police." She peers at him with red, blurry eyes and mumbles, "How many friggin' bars do you work at?" A small-town lawyer called his first witness to the stand in a trial, an 80-year-old woman. He approached her and asked, "Mrs. Singh, do you know me?" She responded, "Why, yes, I do know you, Mr. Kulkarni. I've known you since you were a young boy, and frankly, you've been a big disappointment to me. You lie, you cheat on your wife, and you manipulate people and talk about them behind their backs. Yes, I know you." The lawyer was stunned. Not knowing what else to do, he pointed across the room and asked, "Mrs. Singh, do you know the defense lawyer?" She again replied, "Why, yes, I do. I've known Mr. Gupta since he was a youngster, too. I used to babysit him for his parents, and he, too, has been a real disappointment to me. He's lazy and bigoted, and he has a drinking problem. The man can't build a normal relationship with anyone, and his law practice is one of the shoddiest in the entire state. Yes, I know him." At this point, the judge called both lawyers to the bench. In a very quiet voice, he said with menace, "If either of you asks her if she knows me, you'll be jailed for contempt."
Pate, the Irish immigrant, died in a freak mining accident, leaving Kathleen, his young wife, near mad with grief. After the burial, Kathleen's mother drew her aside, took her in her arms, and rocked her as she wept and tried to comfort her. "But think on what a grand man he was, Kathleen. Weren't they all saying at the wake that Pate was a miner without equal, quick with a pick and tireless at the coal-face?" "Oh, aye," wailed Kathleen, "that he was, that he was. And a loving patriarch to his 8 children, and the possessor of the 3rd sweetest baritone in the state. Aye, oh aye," the widow sobbed, "that he was, that he was." "But tell me true now, Kathleen," whispered her mother in a suddenly conspiratorial tone. "Was there any substance in what I heard a few boys at the funeral whisper, that Pate was Ku Klux Klan?" Kathleen, poor girl, looked up at her mother in innocent confusion. Mother, what does Ku Klux Klan mean?" "Ku Klux Klan, daughter. It means the devil himself is beneath the sheets." Kathleen blushed violently. "Oh, aye," she murmured, smiling slowly, "that he was, that he was."
A pirate walked into a bar, and the bartender said, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What happened? You look terrible." "Captain Hook, what do you mean?" said the pirate. "I feel fine." "What about the wooden leg? You didn't have that before." "Well, we were in a battle, and I got hit with a cannonball, but I'm fine now." "Well, okay, but what about that hook? What happened to your hand?" "We were in another battle. I boarded a ship and got into a sword fight. My hand was cut off. I got fitted with a hook. I'm fine, really." "What about that eye patch?" "Oh, one day we were at sea and a flock of birds flew over. I looked up and one of them shat in my eye." "You're kidding," said the bartender. "You couldn't lose an eye just from some bird shit." "It was my first day with the hook." A man comes home late one night, drunk. "Where have you been?" asks his wife. "In the Golden Bar." They have golden chairs, golden glasses, golden beer, and a golden urinal. This sounds awfully suspicious to the wife, who calls the golden bar. Do you have golden chairs? Yes. Do you have golden glasses? Yes. Do you have golden beer? Yes. Do you have a golden urinal? Hold on. On the other end, she hears, I think we have a line on the guy who pissed in your saxophone. A priest decides one midweek day to visit one of his elderly parishioners, Mrs. Smith. He rings the doorbell and Mrs. Smith appears. Good day, Mrs. Smith. I just thought I would drop by and see how you were doing. The woman says, Oh, just fine, Father. Come on in and we'll have some tea. While sitting at the coffee table, the priest notices a bowl of almonds on the table. Mind if I have one? The priest says. Not at all. Have as many as you like. After a few hours, the priest looks at his watch and, alarmed at how long he has been visiting, says to Mrs. Smith, Oh, my goodness, look at the time. I must be going. Oh, dear, I've eaten all your almonds. I'll have to replace them next time I visit. To which Mrs. Smith replied, Oh, don't bother, Father. Ever since I lost all my teeth, it's all I can do just to lick the chocolate off them. A man walks out to the street and catches a taxi just going by. He gets into the taxi and the cabbie says, Perfect timing. You're just like Frank. Who? Frank Feldman. He's a guy who did everything right all the time. There are always a few clouds over everybody. Not Frank Feldman. He was a terrific athlete. He could have won the Grand Slam at tennis. He could golf with the pros. He sang like an opera baritone and danced like a Broadway star. And you should have heard him play the piano. He was an amazing guy. Sounds like he was really something special. There's more. He had a memory like a computer. He remembered everybody's birthday. He knew all about wine, which foods to order, and which fork to eat them with. He could fix anything, not like me. I change a fuse and the whole street blacks out. But Frank Feldman could do everything right every single time. Wow, what a guy! He always knew the quickest way to go in traffic and avoid traffic jams. Not like me, I always seem to get stuck in them. But Frank, he never made a mistake, and he really knew how to treat a woman and make her feel good. He would never answer her back even if she was in the wrong, and his clothing was always immaculate, with his shoes highly polished too. He was the perfect man. He never made a mistake. No one could ever measure up to Frank Feldman. How did you meet him? I never actually met Frank. He died, and I married his wife. A very rich American gentleman was walking along minding his own business, briefcase in hand. He wore glasses, a suit, and a well-trimmed beard. Suddenly, a shorter, poorly dressed man appeared in his path. He desperately needed a shave, and his eyes seemed to bug out. Sir, may I please look at your socks? The man inquired frantically. It is of utmost importance. The gentleman was taken aback. My socks? Who are you? What do you want? Please, just let me see your socks. There's no time for questions. Not really in a hurry, the gentleman decided to comply so that perhaps the man would leave him alone. He reached down and pulled up the legs of his pants enough to reveal his socks. Only then did he notice that one was black and the other was a dark shade of gray. Aha! Yes! Cried the strange man. You are the one the prophecy spoke of. What? Prophecy? No time! We must travel to Italy. Money is of no concern. Just come with me on a plane flight. You and I are going to change the world. You're insane. Goodbye. Wait, you are getting paid for this in the billions. That got the gentleman's attention. One thing led to another, and the two men were in Italy. The strange man led him to a huge monastery. There they found a monk watering a flower garden. Go to that monk, offer him $1 million as payment for his garden. Just do it. Go. So the gentleman did it. He was quite rich after all. It wasn't difficult to persuade the monk to part with his plants. Okay, said the strange man. Now we go to Germany. But millions of dollars. So the duo flew to Germany. The strange man was apparently quite wealthy as well, as he paid for the flights. Once again, they found a monk tending a garden full of daisies, and once again the gentleman bought the garden for 1 mil. They did the same at monasteries in France, Russia, and Romania. At last, the strange man flew the gentleman back to the States and gave him a case of $5 billion. "Thank you so much," said the strange man. "You saved us all. Please accept this money as the gratitude of the world." The gentleman was confused. "All I did was buy a bunch of gardens. What exactly did we accomplish?" The strange man put his hand on the gentleman's shoulder. "Don't you see? It's what the prophecy says. Only you, sir, could prevent florist friars." Every Saturday morning, the husband goes fishing. He gets up early, makes his lunch, hooks up his boat, and off he goes, all day long. So one Saturday morning, he gets up early, dresses quietly, makes his lunch, puts on his long johns, grabs the dog, and goes to the garage to hook up his boat to the truck. Coming out of his garage, rain is pouring down in a torrential downpour. There is snow mixed in with the rain, and the wind is blowing 50 miles per hour. Minutes later, he returns to the garage. He comes back into the house and turns on the TV to check the weather forecast. He finds it's going to be bad weather all day long, so he puts his boat back in the garage, quietly undresses, and slips back into bed. There, he cuddles up to his wife's back and whispers, "The weather out there is terrible." To which she sleepily replies, "I know. Can you believe my stupid husband is out fishing in that?" Guy giving a lecture on the paranormal. How many people believe in ghosts? About 60 hands go up. How many have seen a ghost? About 15 hands go up. How many have spoken to a ghost? 3 hands go up. How many have had sex with a ghost? 1 hand goes up. Patty, right at the back. Guy says to Patty, "I have been doing this for 40 years, and you are the first that has claimed to have had sex with a ghost. Come forward and explain." Patty says, "Sorry, I couldn't hear you from the back. I thought you said goats." A crusty old army major found himself at a gala event hosted by a local liberal arts college. There was no shortage of extremely young, idealistic ladies in attendance, one of whom approached the major for conversation. "Excuse me, Major, but you seem to be a very serious man. Is something bothering you?" "Negative, ma'am. Just serious by nature." The young lady looked at his awards and decorations and said, "It looks like you have seen a lot of action." "Yes, ma'am, a lot of action." The young lady, tiring of trying to start up a conversation, said, "You know, you should lighten up, relax, and enjoy yourself." The major just stared at her in his serious manner. Finally, the young lady said, "You know, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but when was the last time you had sex?" 1955, ma'am." "Well, there you are. No wonder you're so serious. You really need to chill out. I mean, no sex since 1955? She took his hand and led him to a private room where she proceeded to relax him several times. Afterwards, panting for breath, she leaned against his bare chest and said, "Wow, you sure didn't forget much since 1955. The major said, after glancing at his watch, "Not a big deal. It's only 21:30 now." A man walks up to an older woman and asks her, "Excuse me, miss, if I were to give you $1 million, would you have sex with me?" The woman takes a moment to think about it and stares at the man before smiling and finally deciding to say, "I'll do it." The man says, "Great. Now, would you do it for $1?" And the woman immediately looks disgusted and responds with, "Of course not. What sort of woman do you take me for?" And the man says, "We've already established what kind of woman you are. Now, we're just discussing price." A minister, a priest, and a rabbi went for a hike one very hot day. They were sweating profusely by the time they came upon a small lake with a sandy beach. Since it was a secluded spot, they left all their clothes on a big log, ran down the beach to the lake, and jumped in the water for a long, refreshing swim. Refreshed, they were halfway back up the beach to the spot they'd left their clothes when a group of ladies from town came along.
Unable to get to their clothes in time, the minister and the priest covered their privates, and the rabbi covered his face while they ran for cover in the bushes. After the ladies wandered on and the men got dressed again, the minister and the priest asked the rabbi why he covered his face rather than his privates. The rabbi replied, "I don't know about you, but in my congregation, it's my face they would recognize."
A young man introduces his fiancée to his parents. While they were having dinner, the girl gently farted. Annoyed by the funny smell, the father-in-law yells, "Rocky!" The girl is relieved that the future in-law blamed the dog from under her chair, but after a few minutes, she lets one more rip. The boy's father is getting nervous. "Rocky, be careful now." Worried no more, the girl fires another one. Feeling exasperated, the boy's father yells, "Rocky, get out of there fast. She's going to shit on you."
Dave cannot make his wife orgasm, so he goes to the doctor for some advice. He goes to the doctor and says, "Look, I just can't bring my wife to orgasm in bed. It's a real problem." The doctor says, "Well, is it too warm?" "Yes, it's absolutely sweltering." "Then get some aircon." "I can't afford aircon. I'm too poor." "Well, Dave, do you have a good mate?" "Yeah, I've got a mate, Francis." "Well, ask your mate Francis to stand over you and the missus with a towel, wafting you both to cool you down. That might help." So Dave asks Francis for this favor, who then agrees to help him. That night, Dave is in bed with his wife, pounding away with Francis fanning them with the towel, but it's doing nothing for her. Dave says, "Well, this isn't working, let's swap." So Dave takes the towel and starts wafting Francis, who is now shagging Dave's missus. Not long after, Dave's wife goes, "Ooh, oh, that's it, I'm about to come, I'm going to come." Dave shouts triumphantly, "You see, Francis, that's how you waft a fucking towel."
An attractive woman was lying on the examination table, her blouse slightly undone. She looked up at the doctor and whispered, "Kiss me, doctor." He shook his head. "I can't do that." "Oh, come on, just one kiss," she pleaded. "No, it's out of the question," said the doctor. "Why's that?" she asks disappointedly. "It's completely against ethics rules," he replies. "In fact, strictly speaking, I shouldn't even be having sex with you."
Three guys are hiking through the woods when they find an old lamp. One of them picks it up, rubs it, and out pops a genie. It booms, "You have finally freed me after all these years, so I'll grant each one of you 3 wishes." The first guy immediately blurts out, "I want $1 billion. Poof, he's holding a printout that shows his account balance is now in fact $1,003.50. The second man thinks for a bit, then says, "I want to be the richest man alive." Poof, he's holding papers showing his net worth is now well over $100 billion. The third guy thinks even longer about his wish, then says, "I want my left arm to rotate clockwise for the rest of my life." Poof, his arm starts rotating. The genie tells them it's time for their second wish. The first guy says, "I want to be married to the most beautiful woman on earth." Poof, a stunning beauty wraps herself around his arm. The second guy says, "I want to be good-looking and charismatic so I can have every girl I want." Poof, his looks change, and the first guy's wife immediately starts flirting with him. The third guy says, "I want my right arm to rotate counterclockwise until I die." Poof, now both his arms are rotating in opposite directions. The genie tells them to think very carefully about their third wish. The first guy does, and after a while says, "I never want to become sick or injured. I want to stay healthy until I die." Poof, his complexion improves, his acne is gone, and his knees don't bother him anymore. The second guy says, "I never want to grow old. I want to stay 29 forever." Poof, he looks younger already. The third guy smiles triumphantly and says, "My last wish is for my head to nod back and forth." Poof, he's now nodding his head and still flailing his arms around. The genie wishes them good luck and disappears, and the men soon go their separate ways. Many years later, they meet again and chat about how things have been going. The first guy is ecstatic. I've invested the money and multiplied it many times over, so me and my family will be among the richest of the rich pretty much forever. My wife is a freak in the sheets, and I've never gotten so much as a cold in all these years. The second guy smiles and says, well, I built charities worldwide with a fraction of my wealth. I'm still the richest guy alive and also revered for my good deeds. I haven't aged a day since we last met. And yes, your wife is pretty wild in bed. The third guy walks in, flailing his arms around and nodding his head, and says, guys, I think I f***ed up.
A comedian walks into a bar and sees a beautiful woman. Being charismatic and clever with words, he goes up to her and starts talking. They hit it off and are getting along well. Eventually, he brings up that he is a comedian. Ah, she says, then could you tell me a joke? But telling jokes is my job, he replies, so you asking me to tell you a joke would be like me soliciting you for whatever it is you do for a living. The woman blushes a little bit. Well, I'm actually a prostitute. The comedian is a bit taken aback, but after only a moment's hesitation, he begins. So a man walks onto a bus and sees this beautiful nun.
I took my dad to the mall the other day to buy some new shoes. We decided to grab a bite at the food court. I noticed he was watching a teenager sitting next to him. The teenager had spiked hair in all different colors: green, red, orange, and blue. My dad kept staring at him. The teenager would look and find him staring every time. When the teenager had enough, he sarcastically asked, "What's the matter, old man? Never done anything wild in your life?" Knowing my dad, I quickly swallowed my food so that I would not choke on his response, knowing he would have a good one. And in classic style, he did not bat an eye in his response. Got drunk once and screwed a peacock. I was just wondering if you were my son.